I guess with games there are a number of different creative things, right? There's like, you know, the game engine, there's the game mechanics, and then there's like the artwork and the story and all that. And I guess if you're talking about a game like The Long Dark, for example, The Long Dark, like they have like a survival game survival. They have the mechanics, they have the engine, and they release a survival mode, and then afterwards they add a story mode. Like that kind of early access, that makes sense to me because it's a full game as a survival game, and then they're adding a different part to it, which is a separate thing, but which uses the survival game engine. So that makes sense. Makita says, was your partnership with the TGN financially successful? Not particularly, no. I mean, I didn't really make any more money. I didn't really make any less money. They didn't really do very much for me. Nor did I do very much for them. It's just not very useful. And I said to them at the time, like when the first people like contacted me, I'm like, you know, I don't have that many followers or that many views, nor do I intend to work very hard to get more followers and views. And they're like, no, that's fine, we're okay with that. I'm like, okay. If you're okay, then I'm okay, am I right? And then just nothing really happened. That's terminated, by the way. I'm talking about it because it has been terminated. But even the termination was kind of whack. Like, the contract was for a certain number of years. Those years passed. They didn't renew the contract, they can't terminate the contract, they just kind of carried on. Until YouTube themselves just like purged me from their network. Which was strange. But YouTube like had something automatically purge me from their network. And then I asked them, well, are you gonna sign me back up? And they were like, oh, I'm looking into it. And then they never signed me back up. So it's like, okay, well, I mean, if you don't care, then I don't care. So now I'm just with YouTube AdSense. Like, I'm not with any network. And my experience is that the networks didn't really do anything. And neither did I. I suppose, in hindsight, they were less professional than I thought they would be about things. But I think it's a pretty common experience because eventually YouTube, as I said, they purged a lot of the people from the networks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm not sure that like it was worth very much to anybody. The whole partnership nonsense. I think YouTube wanted the partners to, like the partnership groups, to take some of the legal liability, because stuff like copyright and that is a problem. But I think they've solved that by now. Like the copyright violations and all that, it was a hot mess for a while, and occasionally there'll still be false claims, but they've mostly worked it out, and the false claims have been kind of worked through, and I think the system is okay now. But yeah, it took them a while to work out the copyright stuff. And it turns out that the partners were not necessary to solve that problem, so they just cancelled them. Get wrecked! Simon says, what happened to your Learns to Make Games series? I was wondering if in the end if you make your own game that I could download. Yeah, no, it's too much work. Wackiness. It's too much work and I don't care that much to put that much work in. Do you have any idea, Wackiness, how much work it takes to make a game? Why don't you make a game, Wackiness, and I'll play it? And I'll critique it too. No, making games is a lot of work. And, you know, I want to kind of understand some of the techniques, but I don't really have any burning sensation to make a whole game. And if I do make, it'll be small ones. If I do make anything, it'll be small ones, probably more like concept and intellectual games that talks about game theory more than like actual fun games to play. Did you see the gerrymandering video? Where I had like a bunch of black and white tokens and I used that to explain gerrymandering. So that's the sort of game theory stuff that I might do. But other people have done that, so I don't need to do it. Other people have done similar things to explain gerrymandering. The thing is, Wackiness, I usually don't do things that other people have done or can do relatively easily. I mean, I say that, I mean, a lot of people make gaming videos. But what I mean is nobody has my particular perspective on them. And like Minecraft here, for example, I'm doing this, which I don't think anyone else has ever done. At least not on this scale, like a giant train network. So I do things that you won't really find in other places. Or I would prefer to do things that you won't really find in other places. Wackiness says text-based game, you're an author. I mean, sure, I can. I'm not really I can. And actually, I mean, I wouldn't mind partnering up with someone else and I'll write the story and someone else can do the programming. Like I'm okay with that. If like somebody wants to do like a gaming project, make a game, I can help write the story. But again, it's not something that, I mean, plenty of people can write. has to... No, this is right here. What game has made me rage the most as wackiness? Well, first of all, I don't really rage. Because I don't, like, I'm not very emotional. What game has made me rage the most? I guess if I might like change that to like, what game do I really disagree with? What game do I really disagree with? Oh, Final Fantasy series. Final Fantasy 8, 9, 13, which you'll never see me play because I've deleted them. I have chosen not to upload those playthroughs. Those games are atrocious. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Man, those Final Fantasy games. Sexist, teenage male fan service, and just awful patriarchal, transphobic. It's just all sorts of awful, and I'm not sure how they managed to do all that awful. I guess they're just like kind of socially conservative, the writers. Final Fantasy X I have recorded and I will upload eventually. Like, Final Fantasy X is bearable. At least they get most of it, the big picture, generally right, but then a lot of the details are still completely whack. Man, Final Fantasy IX. Have you played Final Fantasy IX? You start off by kidnapping a teenage girl, and then the main character is just like sexualizes everything for no damn reason, and people don't, like, the women don't wear pants for no reason. What other games haven't you uploaded yet? Let me think. Oh, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. I played the campaign of that too. That one's also waiting. I usually like play one game and then, so I usually have one more game recorded after the game I'm currently uploading. But because Modern Warfare is so short, I decided to go 2 games. So like Modern Warfare and then Final Fantasy X. But obviously Final Fantasy X is a long game, so I'm not gonna start recording the next game after that until I'm uploading 10. You know, wackiness, the thing with Final Fantasy is it panders to your bad behavior. And it just it encourages you to continue to be wrong. Like, if you are already wrong, it encourages you to be also continue to be wrong. It's awful. Final Fantasy 8 and 9 and 13. Absolutely awful. Like, it's so regressive. It's unbelievable. Like, if those games were made, I don't know, what's 50 years? 50 years ago. If those games were made 50 years ago, it would still be disappointingly conservative. But they weren't made 50 years ago. They were made much more recently. Uh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops. No, this is single player wackiness. Why would this be a public server? There's not been anyone. It's just been me the whole time. No, this is a single player. Final Fantasy IX. No, it doesn't just start with kidnapping a teenage girl. It's kidnapping an underage girl. And it's not like there was a good reason to do it either. They don't actually tell you what the reason was. And so you start the game just going to kidnap a girl from her parents. The game never tells you why. Never gives you any good justification for it. You just do it. And the game expects you to be okay with that. Awful. Like the people, like I'm just, oh man, like who could possibly write that story and think, yeah, it is a good story. Who could write that story? I just don't get it. Wakiness says, can't wait to watch you upload the video of you riding a cat and explaining things as you go when you're done. I'm not gonna explain anything when I ride the cat. It's just gonna be half an hour of me riding from one end of the system to the other with no explanation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs is another game that I absolutely hated. Toxic as heck. Wakiness says you gotta explain. Yeah, no, I'm not explaining anything. You can watch the rest of the series if you want to understand. Watch Dogs. Absolutely toxic. Like, you get into fights with other dudes who are like, you're supposed to make friends with someone. And like, you get into a bar and you just start punching them. And then afterwards, immediately after you punch each other, you are friends. Like, who thinks that's okay? That's so toxic. Toxic masculinity 101. And apparently the people who wrote the story thinks that's perfectly okay. Like, you just punch people to make friends. And then in another part, the person, the hacker, who's saved your life multiple times, for the first time meets you in person to give you a thing that will continue to save your life. And the first thing the main character does is he puts his hands on her neck and threatens her. This is the person who's been saving his life the whole time. He puts his hands on her neck and threatens her, and then she's okay with it, and then she becomes your best friend and moves in with you. Who on earth writes that story? Like, it doesn't even make sense. And it's so toxic. Watch Dogs, awful. Awful games. Final Fantasy, not all of them, some of them. And Watch Dogs. It is disturbing when some of these video games read like a psychopath's fantasy novel. I guess it's the same reason why books like 50 Shades of Grey exist.